You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
So, I read some what I would consider distressing news recently. Yes.
Wait, climate emergency? Because we know it's terrible.
Well,
we're gonna die.
You know, actually, this will make us not feel so bad about dying.
Oh, okay.
How about that? So we know the music industry struggles, and we know they're always trying to find ways to keep going.
Sure.
You know, someone once said to me that the dream of the music industry is just to create a new way to listen to things so they can re-release a whole catalog of music again.
Yep.
So you're going to have to own it in every format possible.
1,000%.
Yes. So now they found another route around this, and it's called the biopic.
Oh, of course, yes.
And because I think Bohemian Rhapsody has got close to $1 billion, am I correct on that?
It did wild money.
Wild money, Oscars, through the hoop. Never mind the fact that it was an awful movie.
I've not seen it, and I'm not going to
Do not.
for lots of reasons.
I had to for a work thing, but
I've heard Elton John's amazing, though.
I have heard Elton John's amazing, and I have heard...
I know it's not called Elton John.
No,
but
it's Rocket Man? Yeah,
Rocket Man.
And I have heard the same thing, and the reviews I've read seem to have got the reason why Bohemian Rhapsody was so bad.
Yeah.
Which was there was no poetry or beauty or love or surrealness or something that...
Whereas Rocket Man is deliberately queer, and Bohemian Rhapsody seem to be deliberately non-queer.
Bohemian Rhapsody spent most of the movie trying to punish Freddie Mercury for being gay.
Which is horrific.
Which I don't even understand because it's not even true.
Yeah.
This is what's so surprising. Yeah. It didn't even make any sense. And then that makes me even more...
Freddie Mercury was bi. Like, you mean that part's true, right? Not that his life was trying to punish him.
I meant that in real life. No, I meant...
I was like, wait, we got to clarify
No,
this.
sorry. I meant the circumstances that we're presenting in the movie some of them didn't even happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know why the band signed off on very weird scenes where they were, is this the life you want to have? Anyway, I was...
Homophobia.
Yes. It was odd. It was extremely odd and very unsettling, and it made me very, very unhappy. And I'll be honest, and the only thing I liked about Bohemian Rhapsody was when the credits started, because then we got to see them the actual band perform Don't Stop Me Now, which has got to be one of the most uplifting, powerful songs by a man at the peak of his genius.
Yeah.
Which this film did not present.
No.
So I'm excited for Rocket Man.
Yeah.
However, I heard now that Boy George biopic is in the works.
Oh, yeah.
Which I have heard there was some criminal behavior that he had toward other people that, boy oh boy, might not be great in this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in this movie. And so I'm wondering is that going to be the most annoying thing for the next few years? I'm already not a big biopic fan.
I mean, I think the musical biopic goes through phases of creation, because in the 80s there was some popularity around it. The 70s had a certain popularity around it.
Yeah.
Every generation or every decade sort of gets its small stream of biopics until they fail or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Probably.
So we'll just get whatever these ones look like, and then it'll probably go on a break for a little bit.
Yeah, I guess. And I was trying to really, think of who I would like to see in a biopic, and if we had to make a top 5 list or something of artists. I haven't done that yet. I haven't sat down and thought about whose life I really want or care that much. I think I prefer a movie that is more, instead of this weird Wikipedia entry of life from birth to death, which I find just a little bit dull, because I can look that up. I think it'd be interesting if they choose a year or a tour. I think that's why Almost Famous was such an interesting film to watch, because it was just over one tour, at a short span.
Yeah. Well, and I do think it's so ambitious to go through a start to finish kind of thing. It's just too much ground to cover. And that's why I'm not excited for it, because I don't have confidence in Renee Zellweger's performance as Judy Garland.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in the fact that it's going to focus on sort of her decline a little bit more so. But they've also cast other actresses to play her at different ages.
Right. Okay.
From what I know.
Yes.
But I think about like the Loretta Lynn one that we watched, Coal Miner's Daughter.
Yeah, you're right.
It's great.
It was.
It's really great, but it only goes up till she's like in her early 40s.
Yes.
That woman's now 90 almost.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, so it's a very specific sort of period.
I guess you have to decide too if there's some larger story to tell, and I guess with Loretta Lynn, she was such a groundbreaking artist.
Yeah.
And came, and her story is extremely unique. I mean, she was 13, getting married. I mean, there were so many things that
15,
that made that story beyond, like, crazy almost.
Well,
and so if you're just gonna, cinematic.
I mean, I think it was very conventional for where she was growing up.
Yes.
But it was a story that, a lot of sort of people who live in more sort of like urban cities and bigger cities, it's not familiar to them. Yeah,
no. So that's why it had a really unique appeal to it. And
but like trying to structure, I mean, I have a tiny bit of experience in terms of like sort of like covering a musician's life and from a start to finish, or not finish because it's still in midpoint. But like, I mean, writing the Buffy bio, like going from 0 to 78, it's a big chunk of time.
It is.
Huge chunk of time. And the best way that I could think of to structure it, because I'm a music writer, is like in relationship to her songs. Yeah. And that I thought was like a really reasonable way to do that.
And that's really smart. And that would work, I think, much better than. I just hope there's some creative people that get involved if that's what they're going to do.
People who understand the music and who understand the artistry of it and who love the music and love the artistry. Because I think that's what you see, or at least that's the feedback I've heard. Again, I'm not going to watch Bohemian Rhapsody just for lots of reasons, but so much about it has been the disconnect between the music and the artistry and the artist and just not understanding who this person is. And you need people who understand who the artist is. Like, I like also, we've got this other huge trend of a place where people are putting their music, and music is having these second and third and fifth and billionth lives of musicals, like on stage.
Yes.
So we've got like the Cher musical, and we've got, Mamma Mia, and like doing ABBA's music, and a lot of jukebox musicals are really popular. Britney Spears is supposed to have a musical.
Jersey Boys, those kinds.
Carlos and I have tickets
to see Jagged Little
Pill on Broadway in like New York, like that kind of thing. So, like we see all these different places that music will have like this other life, but I think it really depends on the right people being involved in bringing it to fruition.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know. I'm glad that. And I also think a lot of it depends on sort of artist involvement sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes artists can get in the way, but I feel like everything we've heard about Elton John's involvement in Rocket Man sounds like he just wanted them to make the best movie they could.
Yeah, yeah.
And he got out of the way as much as possible.
Yeah, I like that idea.
That's
and
amazing.
I have never, and I feel bad saying this, and perhaps this is another, we could do like our own sort of like best of biopics, but I've never seen the Tina Turner one.
You've never seen What Love Got to Do with It?
No, I have not.
Oh my God. That is so good.
See, I want to.
It's a really hard movie.
Oh, I know the story, so to speak. Yeah.
I know. It's a really hard movie to watch. I haven't watched it since I first watched it, but it has stuck with me.
Yeah.
Angela Bassett is so amazing in it. I love her so much.
Yes.
I love Tina Turner as well. That's a great film, and I would love for us to do that. Like, we 100% should do that.
If we're going to go back, like, as you said, they go through cycles, and it would be great to kind of, like, highlight some of the ones that people might have forgotten exist.
And that have done it really well.
Yeah,
like, just,
exactly.
It would be so nice. Yeah,
yes. Okay. Done?
Done.
All right, good.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
This does not segue at all into our topic, but we are both so excited that we might as well just jump
Let's
right
just do it.
in.
Let's just
do it.
There's no pivot.
No.
Other than I love this so much. So
I know.
We go from one thing I love to another. I like that as a podcast.
That's very fair.
Trajectory.
That's very fair. Yes.
It's super nice. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
And you're listening to Pop This. And I am
reaching down to get a piece of paper, sorry. Yeah.
If I get through this episode without crying multiple times, it'll be amazing. I love Fleabag so much.
Yeah.
Andrea Gin also loves it. I tried to convince her to come be our third chair tonight. She wasn't having it. But just so you know, She loves it
that
just
we're
as
all
much.
in. This is a triple threat here.
This is a triple threat. We love this.
We love this so much. So, yeah, I guess we're just sort of wrapping up because season 1 came out a couple of years ago.
Season 1 came out in 2016.
Yeah.
And season 2 came out just this past May 2019. And you've had time to watch it. Mm-hmm. If you haven't watched it, we are going to spoil the living hell out of it. So if you haven't watched it, I honestly, please don't listen to this episode.
No,
like just turn it off,
don't.
go watch it, and then come back to us. Because there's so many good things about it that I was really grateful that I hadn't been spoiled on anything.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I had seen little bits of the first season, but it was difficult to get.
Well, I remember you a long time ago saying that you had watched the first couple episodes, you loved it, and it was one of your recommendeds.
Yeah.
Like on Pop This.
Yeah.
And then...
I'm always ahead of my time.
You are.
I know. Thank you.
And I had heard, so many people had said to me, have you watched it? And I just hadn't.
But I couldn't get the other episodes. Like, I managed to find a place to get the first ones, and then I couldn't get any more. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's on Amazon Prime.
There you go now.
Dive in.
Dive right in. So, yes, this is part of apparently our new favorite genre, which makes sense, traumedy. And the Fleabag is brought to you by the truly genius Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I don't know what to say except for the fact that she must, float on the air of love from women around the world who... she just has been dazzling in all kinds of other projects, but this one in particular, I think it's just this weird thing where you talk to women who have watched it and they almost can't speak to you.
Yes.
Like they're verklempt.
Yeah, it actually literally left me breathless.
It leaves you breathless. Yeah. Yes, it is unbelievable.
And I'm literally saying literally, using literally appropriately. I actually was gasping at one point while I was watching this.
Oh, me too.
And I was I felt like the wind had been genuinely knocked out of me.
Yeah, and it's rare to find something that I think, unfortunately, as you are listening, there will not be anything wrong said. I can't find a single thing at all wrong with the making of this.
Well, not the making of this. There's a couple things that I have raised as things that came up for me, and also I know came up for a few other folks.
Yeah, okay.
In different reviews. Yeah. That are all, I think, super valid criticisms.
Yeah, okay.
That we can engage with.
Yeah.
It doesn't...
doesn't take away from the fact that it was a brilliant show is what I mean.
That's the thing. It's not diminishing its brilliance.
Yes, no. So should we do the background here?
Yes.
Oh, me or you?
I'm fine with it. Okay. I can do it. Fleabag is a British comedy drama, or dramedy, television series set in London. Show premiered July 21st, 2016. Concluded, in April. After 2 series and 12 episodes total. Show creator Phoebe Waller-Bridge writes and stars as the protagonist, Fleabag, an angry, confused, and sexually voracious young woman living in London. The program is particularly known for breaking the fourth wall when the main protagonist talks to the camera, and is adapted from Waller-Bridge's one-woman play of the same name, which won the 2013 Fringe First Award at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe.
Yes, so this is, just to give you a sense of the story, a dry-witted woman known only as Fleabag has no filter as she navigates life and love in London while trying to cope with tragedy. The angry, grief-riddled woman tries to heal while rejecting anyone who tries to help her, but Fleabag continues to keep up her bravado through it all. And I know we are highlighting Phoebe Waller-Bridge, but this cast...
The cast is amazing.
Is stellar.
We don't have to go through it all. We're just, these names are really just there for our reference point.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, and also because we did The Favorite and just could not stop gushing about Olivia Colman.
Yeah. Playing a type I've never seen her play before yet.
Yes.
She's just the worst stepmom in the world.
I mean, it is extraordinary. Just the way the show is cast is so great. Great. And even when I'm kind of jumping ahead to season 2, but even when she just has to get some sort of filler roles, it's Fiona Shaw and Kristen Scott Thomas.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's who she can get.
Yeah.
That's
well, because she is among the most highly sought after creative professionals, I think, working in England right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's just go right back to season 1.
Yes.
So I have to say that when I first saw a trailer for Fleabag,
yes,
It was this. This is what it was. It was Phoebe at the door, excited that a man was coming over at 2 a.m, so a booty call at 2 a.m, her opening the door and, turning to us and saying, well, this is great or whatever, some sort of, self-deprecating thing. Anyway, so she has anal sex with this man who comes over at 2 or 3 a.m, and he's so complimentary about not just her allowing him to do this deed, but also how great it felt. Mm-hmm. And at first that's, she's really moved by that. Like, I was able to provide quite a lovely thing. And then we jump cut to her at a cafe going, is my arsehole that big? And the contrast of the tones of these two thoughts, the talking to us, this fourth wall, I thought, this is going to be really funny because British comedy. Uh-huh. Boy, was I 100% wrong.
Blindsided.
Wow. This is probably, I have to say, the most amazing, darkest, saddest thing I've ever seen.
It's incredibly dark, incredibly sad, incredibly funny.
Incredibly funny?
Honestly.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, one of my chief coping mechanisms with tragedy has always been comedy. And if even as something as ridiculous as my family sitting in a ICU family room for 2 weeks while my teenage cousin was brain dead and we're waiting to disconnect him, we spent most of our time when we weren't in the room with him watching Wipeout.
Oh.
Not great comedy, but it really helped.
Yeah.
It really helped.
Wow.
It was a hard, awful, insanely just the worst 2 weeks. But it was greatly relieved.
I feel bad for you, though. If you probably hear that theme song again, it gives you some very jolts of quite mixed emotions.
I don't watch Wipeout anymore.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
And so not a sophisticated thing, but and honestly, lots of my hospital visits have ended up involving a ridiculous amount of terrible, evil joking and laughter.
Well, yeah.
That's a well we go to as a family.
I agreed. Same with mine. Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, what are you going to do? Right? I mean, these moments are built for humor. They are. They are.
It's the best way we can cope.
But yeah, that said, this is not a show that isn't just in some places just unbearably sad.
Unbearably sad. Yes.
I
honestly wasn't prepared for the grief of this show.
Yes.
At all.
Yes.
I was blindsided. I thought that I guess I really hadn't read a ton about the show before. A lot of people had said to me, it's great, it's genius, you're going to love it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool, great. I mean, I would assume both of us get a lot of TV that's recommended to us when it's made by a woman and it's a sort of anti-heroine character and, that kind of stuff. This is feminist television sort of 101 that you would recommend it. And that's great. I like those recommendations.
Yeah.
But I don't always think necessarily that it's going to be life-changing.
No.
Oh my God.
I know. And I had some of the hallmarks, though, of it, though. If you do like British comedy, one of the things I really appreciate about it is it's just throwing you into this. You're jumping on a moving train.
Yes.
This story is already going.
And frankly, it's dragging you.
Yes.
It is not carrying you.
No,
you are barely on.
You are just trying to hold on for dear life to try and figure out. And it's so smart that way. So a lot of the information we get is just from odd glimpses.
Yeah.
Quick edits of a moment with her best friend.
Flashbacks
here and there. And you don't... And sometimes you're almost hungry to hear a little bit more. But that's not what this show is about. We are in Fleabag's terribly depressing head. We are her friend. We are going along on this journey with her.
Well, that's the thing. It's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be funny and wretched and so sad. And I just was not prepared. I wasn't prepared for the fact that it was going to be multi-level sadness. And And I wasn't prepared for, like, having to deal with, like, parent death as well as best friend death. And those are they're sadnesses that are related, but they are just two different kinds of sadness, and they're both devastating.
Yeah, and also just dealing with the awkwardness of watching a family who can't quite talk to each other.
Oh.
And that wall that's up between them, but yet that wall is helping them to get to the next moment.
Well, it's just, however they can survive, they are surviving, and they're not doing it well.
Yes.
But that's, like, survival doesn't always look like a wellness path.
No, it doesn't. And it just, I feel like we're talking around it and in it, and I don't know what, like, I'll be honest and say I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this.
No, me neither. Did you know, like, so, I mean, again, we're just going to spoil it all, but, like, did you know that she had slept with Boo's boyfriend, and that is what had been the triggering point for Boo to try and hurt herself?
No. I will say why that worked so well for me, though, and it was just so terrific how they set that up, was that we were, like I said, this is us with her.
Yeah.
And what an amazing twist to you, because you were all along just forgiving her bad behavior on the loss of her friend.
And the loss of her
mother.
mom.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot. And it's sad. And then all of a sudden to just have to be confronted with a really awful thing that she did, it made you almost Sixth Sense style go and go back and look at every other thing she did and go, I don't know you.
Yeah.
Did you know it?
No, yeah. I didn't know it either, and I was really glad that I didn't know it.
Yeah.
And that I like, within that episode, I had guessed it. I knew that that's where we were gonna go. Like, so but I didn't know up until that episode.
Yeah.
So up until the very last episode, I didn't know.
Well, we started seeing these flashes that we knew that there was something that was bothering her about a sexual encounter.
Well, we knew, yeah, like I knew.
Like the pants being undone. It was quick flashes. Yeah.
But I wasn't sure exactly where we were going with it, and I knew that she had that visceral reaction to seeing Boo's ex at the store.
Yeah.
But I thought and I knew she had a lot of guilt around Boo.
Yeah.
I thought maybe I knew that she felt guilty for a reason. I didn't know what that reason was. And I just, like, and I think, like, it just, season 1 is just it's a very hard season. It's so complicated, and it's so,
so cruel in
it's
so many
cruel.
places.
Oh my God, it's so cruel on so many levels. And so season 2 actually feels like a breath of fresh air on a lot of levels. Well,
season 2 is allowing us to which is great, is that we're going to see her work through what we saw her in season 1.
Yeah. Yeah. And we...
Yeah, that feels...
And I do think, like,
and her whole family actually working through all of this.
Yeah, and I guess that's where that sort of... the payoff, I think, when we want to see... We don't want to see tidy solutions or tidy resolutions or anything. And I don't think the show gives us any of that at all. My God. But I will say, like, from the point of, like... It felt like season 1... It ended with some unfinished business. Like, and I felt that watching it. And so I was really glad, actually, that I hadn't watched season 1 until I knew that there was already a season 2, and it had happened, and I could watch it as soon as it was done. That felt really great.
It did. And and then season 2 is just like, there are those 3 years in between where Phoebe Waller-Bridge is just like, it's almost as if she was like some kind of martial arts expert that leveled up 100 and and just had threw her sword out and had an absolute sense. So that first episode in the second season is so brilliant. The way it plays with time. It looks like a play. The dialogue, how it has to go around this room. Mm-hmm. The new characters, old characters, it was like, it just started with her with that bloody nose.
Yeah.
And what is going on? Mm-hmm. Why is that girl on the floor?
Yeah.
And then, so she loves to do that thing to you, which is that, oh, you're thinking this dinner party's going well. But you already saw me with a bloody nose.
Yeah, so how do we get to that bloody nose?
How do we get to the bloody nose?
Yeah.
And it is...
It's never the way you think you're going to get to a bloody nose.
No, and the things said and unsaid and the dialogue and... I want to rewatch that episode again because it really felt like a play.
Well, I rewatched it last night.
Oh, did you?
I rewatched all of season 2 last night in preparation for this because it had been a couple weeks, and I honestly haven't been able to talk about the show without crying in like the 3 weeks since I had watched it for the first time. It just really got me in all my feelings, and that first episode is brilliant. Like it's really just truly brilliant, and like.
It sets up all our dramas. So we've got her dad is going to get married now to her evil godmother, stepmother. Her sister, who she was kind of having lots of problems with, and her sister's husband, who hit on her, and the sister didn't want to believe it. But so that's back. But then
the priest.
Oh my
God, the priest. Look. I know we've talked about how Andrew Scott. So, like...
We already knew him from Moriarty.
Yeah, Moriarty. Yeah. And this is just so much better.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked a lot about sort of my embracing the word horny and 40. And together, my horny 40 is just a theme I'm going for. But my God, this character is part of that. So, I remember saying to you... What was the point in which you were like completely sort of like just lust from head to toe for this character? I mean, it's from that first episode to a certain extent.
Yes.
Because like
it sets you
Andrew
up there.
Scott is such a good actor. He is vibrant and reacting, and he is in every single way constantly alive as a performer.
I mean, already we're endeared to a priest that overdrinks and bums a smoke
and swears like a sailor.
Yeah.
But what the also just real kind of opening up immediately that this is a man who is equally as damaged as Fleabag, in that he absolutely owns that he doesn't admit that he drinks too much, even though we see him doing that. He also like swears like a chimney, even though he's a priest. His parents were alcoholics, and his brother's a pedophile. These are
that line, the way they played that.
God.
Why don't you see your brother anymore? You don't like him. He's an alcoholic. He's a pedophile.
Yeah, it was so perfect.
Yeah.
But I think what ultimately it comes down to is the point where I was just a quivering mess for this man. And that's a disgusting, disgusting description of myself, but I'm doing it anyways. When he says to her, that, oh my God, sorry, where is it? Oh yeah. F you calling me father, like it doesn't turn you on just to say it. That was the moment I was
really
like, oh my God.
That was I do remember that line.
I am a wreck.
Yeah.
And he knows exactly what's happening.
Well, of course
she knows exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
And there is so much, like, okay, so I think that in some ways it's a cliche to bring up the sexy priest. We all know the Thornbirds.
Sure.
Everybody knows that the women have been lusting after priests, and or
at least we've been told women are lusting after priests.
And we know there's a lot of problems with this whole idea of celibacy, and there's issues, right? But we know all of this stuff. But what makes this so much smarter than that is because she is a woman who is dealing with so many personal demons, and then you throw in the church and a really good person at her. And she already had Boo, which was a good person, and she lost that. So now she's got this chance now to be involved in something that is so, at one point, like, so welcoming to your sins and redemption. Like, that's very seductive. You are a sinner, and this is the place you can come in. Like, it's so much. Yeah. In fact, they even do play along with the confession and everything, right? Which is a cliche, and I think they know that.
Yeah.
But I have to say that for me, I was actually just texting with a friend of mine who'd already watched it, and I'm watching it, and I'm just like, oh, this is really good. And then all of a sudden, he has, first of all, he said he can't see her anymore because if he sleeps with her, he will be in love with her.
Yeah.
Which is so much to her because she has just been living this completely casual sex as much as possible. I'm not getting involved.
Yeah.
But she really loves this guy.
Yeah.
And so she knows that's true. And then he's not going to see her again. And then he comes to her house.
Yep.
And they're fighting. And then even just saying this made my... And anyway, and then he stops fighting and he looks at her and he just goes, we're going to have sex, aren't we?
That was your moment?
Oh, that was my moment. I had to pause it. I texted my friend. And I said, oh my God, he just said this. And she just comes back with, dude, I know.
Yeah. Like, seriously. No, I know.
And it was just,
I know.
And I'm like, okay, I'll push play again.
Yeah.
And there was just something about that moment of his just giving over. Like it wasn't, and it wasn't just, it was definitely sexual. It was definitely lust-based.
Yeah.
But it was also just so much more.
Well, that's the thing. Like, and I mean, I think your characterization of him as good is really interesting because I think that I never thought of him as like good. Like, I
feel he's on the trap that he's a person who's struggling to be good,
well,
which is what makes him good.
And she is also, I think, struggling
and which is why we like
better.
Her better. And that's why we'll go along this journey with her.
Yeah. Because
we don't think she's just given up.
No, and I mean, even if she had given up, like I think in this season 1, she sort of gives up a little bit. But there's something, there's a lot of different sort of motivating factors that like keep her going, which is like occasionally a small act of kindness from a man who might possibly be an MRA in training and who is also trying to do is also tasked with doing his bare minimum to not give in to his hatred of women. Like, like there's all these like sort of really complicated layers of things where no one is good or bad.
No.
They're just all a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think like he doesn't, like, Hot Priest doesn't strike me as someone, I mean, I would wager that this is maybe also not the first time that he's had sex in a frock.
My guess as well.
Yeah,
yes,
I mean, this is, but the thing that makes their connection so wonderful and so fantastic and so interesting is that he sees her, and we see him see her by that fourth wall recognition. And it's such a, like, it's
a really clever device.
That was actually, like, my breathtaking moment was, like, I mean, outside of, like, the hotness factor, was just like, oh, God, he sees her. Yeah. It's so good. It's, like, and it's just so rewarding to see how they depict that. Like, it doesn't get flowery or sentimental or lazy. Like, nothing, everything about this show is smart and vibrant and alive.
Well, she had convinced herself that she was, like, not worth anything. Like, I have made so many huge mistakes. I am so damaged. I am so sad that there's nothing left for me.
Yeah.
And then this man falls in love with her. After, like you said, he sees her. She's not pretending to be anyone.
Yeah.
Not for a second is she, like, invited him to some place where she's trying to pretend that she's a better person than she is.
Yeah.
She is giving him exactly who she is.
Well, and I think she also, there's a scene with her and her father in the first episode that's also so important, is when he's like, you're not being naughty. And she's like, well, it doesn't matter anymore. And, like, the way that he like, it seems as if, like, that has hit him and cut him to his core for her to just, she no longer is trying desperately to seek his approval or his attention. She can't.
Yeah. Like,
she has put up boundaries.
Yeah.
She is establishing boundaries for the first time. And the switch that flips in what her role in season 2 is in her family versus what her role in season 1 is so remarkable and so wonderful and so interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I love that because she took up all the space in season 1, which is appropriate. We didn't get to sort of spend that time with her sister and see how screwed up her sister is. and there's space for that in season 2 because Fleabag's in a more stable space, even if she's faking it, even if she is convinced that she doesn't know what she's doing, and she, as she says to the priest, she wants someone to tell her what to do and all these things. And I mean, it's a heartbreaking scene, but he calls her on that after, and he's like, I think you know exactly what you're doing. And that's a hard thing to sort of, like, swallow is that like personal accountability of just like, oh my God. Yeah. And I mean, so much of part of season 1 is her refusing to admit that she did this incredibly awful thing to her best friend, which resulted in this awful,
which she never would have, wanted.
She never would have wanted to have that happen. And Boo gets to sort of live on in this really sort of elevated status, and she's like this angel ghost, and this person that she has perpetually let down. And that beautiful scene as we see her sort of Fleabag negotiating a little bit more with the grief of her mother and how Boo played into that. When Boo says to give all the love.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was a lot.
So first crying.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it several more times in this episode. But it's so lovely.
Mm-hmm. No, it is. It is. I'll just to take you back down to earth, though. There were some weird, interesting elements of animals.
Yeah, animals are.
The guinea pig at this cafe is a very odd, and I don't know enough about guinea pigs.
I also kept worrying that Fleabag was gonna murder the guinea pig.
So did I, because she took it out on the cat.
Yes.
Let that cat out that had never been out, and then we end with this weird fox imagery.
Yes.
And which because he's afraid of seeing foxes, and of course he wasn't seeing foxes, and then he was seeing foxes, and so there is a very animalistic sort of I don't know. I didn't do that kind of work on this show I
didn't research all the animal imagery.
Yeah, those kinds of some people being vegetarian and the shrimp allergy. There were things. There were so many weird little things that I can't believe that she would just accidentally throw in. Because it's such an intentional show. Yeah. It's such a small show.
Yeah.
And she's not going to do a season 3. Thank goodness. We don't need it.
Yeah.
We have sent her off on her way, which you and I seem to have very different ideas.
We have very different ideas for that.
On what that ending meant.
Before we get to that, though, can we just talk a little bit more about her relationship with her sister? And how much that factors into season 2. I mean,
I think this is probably something that I don't have a sister. You do.
Yeah. And so this is this element of the show, this also killed me. Yeah. I called my sister after and I was like, look, I've just watched this show Fleabag and I think I need you to come over and we'll just watch both seasons together.
Did you want to get a weird haircut?
No, it's not 100% through of our relationship. Mm-hmm. But in terms of just having that person in your life who it's such a especially a sister who is so close in age, and so you're lifelong friends but also lifelong competitors for lots of different ways. You're cast into specific roles within your family. No one in the world can be as cruel to you and still someone you would die for.
Yeah.
And so the other oh my God, I was just devastated in the final episode where she when she says that the only person I'd run through an airport for is you, when Claire says that to Fleabag, I was like, oh my God, and I know that's true, and that's so, crying too. Anyway, but I think the way that their relationship builds and changes, and then we see that we have that great episode where Claire loses it on Fleabag and is like, you always get to be interesting because you have a quirky restaurant and a dead best friend.
Yeah.
And her framing of what makes someone interesting is horrifying.
Yes. But her sister is such an unbelievable character. She, for every one word, she doesn't say 100. And you can hear all of them. Her restraint, and even when we first were introduced to her in the first season, it's just she's beautiful, she's anorexic, she's in control.
Yeah.
And this woman is just such a tight ball of rage.
So much rage and so much control and so
much.
And so miserable.
So miserable.
And she has this awful husband. And the other
that husband is just
oh my God,
one of the wildest characters.
What a piece of garbage. And yet this is a show, and this is I think where some of the elements of some of the criticism. So in that first season, we have this banker dude, and the sisters go on a retreat.
Oh yes.
for a weekend, and they end
Their
up...
Their dad sends them to.
A silent retreat. Yeah. And we end up... they end up getting sent to this retreat, silent retreat, that's, I think, all women, where next door is a... basically like a men's rage retreat, where men work through their violent feelings towards
Shirley
women.
has just got a job promotion. What's something we could say to Shirley?
My God.
Congratulations,
this
Shirley.
Like, just watching a bunch of men scream at blow-up dolls is one of the most disconcerting things. I also, and this is like some of the stuff of season 1 that I thought it hadn't quite thought through enough, because I personally want to see that more. I would like to see sort of like that condemned a little more, as opposed to sort of treated like humanely, but that's not really it's not really fair of me to like impart that on Phoebe Waller-Bridge, because I don't think at any point she's condoning their...
I felt like the scene was played for comedy, and why I felt that too was also because when she did meet with the banker guy again, who she'd already met with and had a very awkward interaction with.
Yes.
When she was with him, she gave him a real sense of humanity. She didn't make him a stock, like an idiot. Yeah. Like you felt from him that he had lost his way. And it was quite sad.
It's quite sad, but that's like sort of like some of the sort of criticism is that is then humanizing and validating sort of like this rage against. And I see where that's coming from.
Mm-hmm. But then she was humanizing her own personality traits, which were pretty vile as well. So
I know it's just it's not like the same sort of like, again, like.
Well, no, but she did treat that poor guy, Mr. Teeth, incredibly cruelly.
Oh, yeah, but he was also really dull and boring and awful. Like, he's the worst.
Well,
like,
but
honestly, Mr. Teeth is terrible.
Well, Mr. Teeth didn't, like, the way, he was just a hapless man who liked her on the bus. I didn't think he deserved...
I thought he ended up being, I thought he was grosser than, like, I don't think he was a hapless man. I think he had elements, like, he had a tiny bit of edge to him, because he was, like... He did a few things. I haven't rewatched season 1, and it's been a few weeks since I watched season 1.
Yeah, I just watched it.
But there were like some moments of season 1 of Teeth, and I was like,
well, I mean, I thought he was meant to be some sort of representative of like the upper class twit, He was
but he was like, he's a bit of a misogynist and a bit of like, and that's the thing. Like most of these characters are a little bit misogynist, and then Fleabag has her own. Fleabag and Claire both have their own internalized sexism and misogyny that they're working through.
Yes,
and so I think
that's
like,
what that feminist workshop there meant. If you could have your, come on.
Oh my God, yeah, no, I know.
Oh my God, if you would give up 5 years of your life, if you could have the perfect body, and there are the only 2 hands that go up. That is some writing. That is some writing right there.
Yeah, I guess like because I also felt like the first few episodes skewed heavily into sort of like, well, not heavily, but heavily, into like some fat shaming kind of territory, and like
I gotta disagree with you there. That was them showing that this is how women have internalized their hatred, is this weird obsession with their body. That was the opposite. That was shaming their thinness.
I don't think there's a shaming of thinness. I think there's a shaming of thin culture and thin privilege.
I thought, and them.
And so, and I feel like, well, I also feel like they really like talk a lot about like sort of the, like, oh, she's great because she's anorexic, like they have like that kind of throwaway line and stuff.
Yes.
But these are not characters that we're supposed to be seeing as shining examples of personhood at all. These are characters who are working through some of that stuff, and it goes away so much.
Yeah, it just, to me, it felt like
I was grateful for that.
I really felt like that was obviously. I mean, I've heard her talk, Phoebe Waller-Bridge talk about, like she recognized this as a very thin representation of a very upper middle class woman, with different things. So I feel like that world she's in is probably just so thin obsessed that probably nobody eats and smokes constantly just to stay thin. Like, I feel like that is probably a grotesque obsession.
It is a grotesque obsession. I like more commentary on that as like commentary on, and I don't think that's challenged that much. But again, that's not the show.
I guess in my heart, I felt like it was so. It made me feel gross and frail. Like when they both put their hand up, saying that they would change, like
lose 5 years of their life in order to have the perfect body.
Literally the saddest thing, and they both were agreed on that.
Yeah,
and that literally is the only thing that they agree on.
Yeah, and I think that's like, and so that's why I sort of like, okay, well, again, I will, but these are some of the sort of like things that I think like if you have, as a fat person, I have to then decide that I'm going to just sort of accept that as like one of like that, like their rejection of my body is a plot point of character development for them, and I have to live with that. So that's where sort of like I'm constantly sort of in that position.
Sure.
And so that's where I sort of have like some of those struggles where I just am like, well, is this worth it to me?
Yeah.
As a show.
Yeah.
To feel like I have to live with that. And I ultimately decided, because I really love the show a lot.
I guess I would just say too that I think that she wrote that in purposely to have that there as to how awful these people are.
Yeah.
Like they're just tragic, awful people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like we also see like the casting of the whole show is like fairly like super thin, white.
I don't
like,
know
it's
about
pretty,
Olivia
like,
Colman is...
I mean,
I think
she's not, like, she gets to wear a lot of drapey outfits.
Yeah.
But she's not...
No, she's not, but...
Regardless,
yeah.
These are just, like, the things that I was like, I would like a little bit more... if we had a chance for, like, a universe that's a little more wholly realized, I think we get a tiny bit more of that in season 2.
Sure, but I feel like they just hate themselves so much, the two of them. Mm-hmm. Like, so much.
Yep.
That was just an example of how much they hated themselves, that they were depriving themselves of almost any sort of pleasure.
Yeah,
or happiness, or
and like
anything.
They don't even have sex for pleasure. Like it's
nothing.
It's all about conquest.
Yeah, it is. They're not even having sex anymore. Like her and her husband.
Well, her and her husband.
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry. Anyway, what I was like getting at with like the sort of like gentleness with that sort of like rage against women is that like to the extent that we and I think what we end up with in season 2 is actually just like much more fully realized characters. Yeah. Where again, not everyone is good or evil.
Yeah.
Even the character who is the worst, which is the husband, gets to give this amazing speech. I'm not a bad guy. I just have a bad personality. You want to know what the bassoon is? It's a cry for help. And he says to her, I have loved you since the day I met you, and you have... what you hate most about yourself is the fact that you might love me, and it's been breaking my effing heart for 11 years. And it is a surprisingly moving speech from a character I loathe.
I completely agree. And then I guess I just also really love the turn, which is what she's good at, which is that's a great speech. Ordinarily in any other rom-com,
this would be successful. No, and Claire's just like, get out.
Maybe you're right, but I'm not willing to give up any more of my life to find this out.
Yes.
Like, I don't need to be with someone with a bad personality that loves me.
Well, and I also love the fact they never let him get away with the fact that, like, so he sexually assaults Fleabag. He kisses her without her permission.
Yeah.
Lies about it. Knows that he can get away with it because of her reputation.
Yes.
For what she has done. Claire doesn't believe him, but she ends up siding with him anyways as, like, a means of... still trying to like hold together her family, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But Fleabag never ever gives him an inch, and I'm so grateful for that because I think a lot of other shows might try and like relent or like do some kind like something to sort of like give him some element of forgiveness or whatever. We never like
even his own son says leave him.
Oh my god, it's so great. I love it so much. Leave him. Okay, so now we should get to like the end because we've been going on for a long time.
Because we have different
interpretations of the end.
Yeah, so the ending, there they are at the bus stop together after the wedding.
Yeah.
He has given a speech.
That speech at the wedding is amazing.
The speech at the wedding he gives for her dad and evil step godmother to get married. He gives a speech which is to everyone else is just a vague speech on love.
Yeah, and a little bit unhinged, he is.
Yes,
quirky. Like he
exactly.
Is, but yeah.
But ultimately, he explains to her that he is not going to stay with her.
And that moment of recognition in the ceremony where she's looking at and she understands that it's not her that he's choosing. God.
Yeah.
breaks my heart.
It does.
Yeah.
So then we get to the bus stop. She's
Yes.
leaving, and that's another place where they'd already met before.
Yeah.
And then he comes to the bus stop, and the two of them are sitting there together.
Yep.
And I guess there's a, what would you call that? Just a sort of a, let's just, I don't know, cause pain to each other or something?
Well,
I don't know.
No, I think it's really beautiful. So I think Fleabag says, like, you know, she's basically like, it's God, isn't it? Like, you've chosen God over me. And he's like, yes. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, this is terrible because I love you. I'm paraphrasing because we can't swear.
Yeah.
And she's like, I love you. And then he tries to say something, and she's like, no, let's just let it sit there for a minute.
Yeah.
And be uncomfortable. Like, I love you. And
that is a huge thing, because we have watched an entire 12 episodes of her rejecting her feelings and not wanting to let love in and feeling that she's not worthy of love and all of those things. And now you do have this moment for her that just the fact that she can love someone is huge.
It's huge.
Huge.
And he says, it'll pass.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, crushing. Okay.
Third
time crying. Okay.
That's definitely the that I love you. Yeah, you're great too.
No, but like,
no, it's not.
I don't think it's like that.
It's
like,
not.
I just he tells her it'll pass because, like, that's all he can say in that moment, and that's the only way he knows how to like comfort her. But then this is the thing that kills me, is when he says, "Please don't come to the church anymore," or no, first he says, I love you too.
Yeah.
And then the tear like falls from, oh my God.
The tear down his face.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. No, I know. And so here's where we split.
Okay.
You feel that means
it's over.
It's
like
over.
They never see each other again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
See, I think okay.
I'm not saying for sure they do or not. I don't even know if she really needs to.
Like
in some ways.
But that's why I think like that it's just over, because she like, and I think we're supposed to take away like with the cueing of the Alabama Shake song.
Yes,
which is
but
so good.
I've got to say he already had said to her that
he loves her.
No.
Oh.
Don't come to this church anymore.
No, I know, but he said it like this time. He said, I think it like he meant it. Like, you can't come here anymore. I do love you, and I think that is the sort of part, like, she's already healed herself because she's loved him.
Yes.
And then the reason it's so crushing when he says he loves her too is because this is this perfect person for her at this moment. I mean, are they really actually perfect together? No, of course not.
I think she's going to go on going to the church, helping him out. They're going to go and share glances for the next 10 to 15 years.
Oh no, I do not think that at all. I think like this is done and it is over, and this is one of those.
I think he'll tell her that every week.
Oh my God, no.
And I think she'll laugh always about it. And I think
she left us. Like, she said goodbye. Like, she ran away from the fourth wall. She left us. She's like in a better place. No, she's
healed.
Now.
She's very happy.
But that's the thing. Like, she's in a better place now.
I think she's the kind of person that needs an unrequited love.
Oh, I don't think so. I think she's supposed to be like. I think that would be like. I think that would be a purgatory for her.
Well.
And I think we're supposed to think that she's moved through to some sort of other side.
Yeah, maybe.
She's been in this like horrible state for so long.
Yeah.
That now, like, and he says in a speech, love is hope, and like that feeling of love is hope.
Yes.
And so she finally has hope again to go and just like wait for him and yearn for him.
I didn't. But that's what I don't think she'll be doing. I don't think it'll be that kind of situation.
You don't think she'd yearn? Like, I mean, if they're gonna spend 15 years sharing glances, that sounds like an awful lot of yearning.
Well, no, it just sounds like it would be, I feel like an arrangement that the two of them, I don't even know if we've seen that she has the potential to be like a super awesome partner either yet.
But I don't think, that's like, neither of them could be partners to each other. Like,
no.
And honestly, half of their bonding is the fact that like they just love to drink and smoke, and
that's my point.
And but that's what I mean. Point. But that's my point, is that like they know they're not good for each other. And so, even though they love each other, they can't be together.
No, I know, and they won't be.
Yeah,
I just think that it'll be in my mind, how I saw that end. I like when she went off. I love that idea. In my head, I just love the idea that he's like, "Don't come to the church." He's like, "Yeah, no, thumbs up. I won't be there," and then she'll go.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that they were done forever, and that really like.
That's where I thought he meant with Love is Hope.
But love is hope, and so now that she's been activated by hope, she has to go and find other love.
This is a Maeve Binchy book I read.
Look, me too. You know,
you know which Maeve Binchy book I'm talking about, right? The one that she was in love with that priest. And then,
yeah. No, I know.
And then what did he do? He said, "Let me go."
Yeah, and she did.
And then what did he do?
But she also went insane.
Okay, and then what did he do?
Well, he hooked up with another woman.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
what did she say? And what did she say? He said to her, "Oh, she never gave up."
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. I think like he really wants to be with God.
Oh, I think he does too. I think he does too. But that's the part where I thought there was the hope. The hope was that there was a great moment of the two of them exchanging, that we're just crazy people in this crazy world, and I can't be with you the way I want to be, and she's, I feel like, is probably like, I couldn't be the same way, and then I think they'll go off, and then I think she'll show up at the church again, and that's how I like it.
Wow. No, I disagree.
Okay.
Strong disagree. But I love this show.
Me too.
I love this show
and I will
so
watch
much.
it again.
Yeah.
Just to feel all those things again.
Honestly, it actually does feel just as good the second time.
Agreed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Pop, pop, pop.
We love to leave our episodes in something we recommend. Do you want to go first?
Yes. So Netflix has just rebooted Tales of the City.
Oh, I've never watched any of it.
Me either. I haven't. I have watched the first episode. I'm very intrigued. It is picking up where the series left off, which is in 93.
Wow.
So far, we've got Laura Linney, Paul Gross, Ellen Page, Charlie Barnett from Russian Doll, and Olympia Dukakis. So,
nice.
I mean, if you can do better, find a way.
Yeah.
So, no, it's really intriguing. Really incredible cast of LGBT people. The writing room is almost all, I think, entirely LGBT people.
Cool.
And the casting is just fantastic. A whole bunch of new people we've never seen before, and I think we'll see more of.
Cool. Awesome. Can't wait. It's very different, but it's a show that's coming to an end soon, and it has been filmed in Vancouver, and I have watched it since the beginning.
Supergirl?
iZombie.
Oh, iZombie. Okay.
iZombie, it's on Netflix, and the show is airing to Netflix every week now, so you can watch it all and see it. It honestly, it has gone to places that I did not anticipate when it first started.
How many seasons?
5.
Okay.
5. I think this is its 5th season. But right now, I don't want to spoil a bunch of stuff, but basically just like the ways in which it ends up reflecting, in the same way that so many graphic novels do, but ends up reflecting the current politics of the world is just, it's hard. It's uncomfortable. It's sad on a lot of levels. But it's also really smart, and it's really fun. And it's a weird little show with like some great also Vancouver character actors in it, like Ryan Beale and a few other folks who turn up every once in a while. So iZombie is ending, and everyone should check it out.
All right. Good recommendations. You'll be busy over there.
Everyone's busy, yeah.
Yes.
Just watch all the television.
Mm-hmm.
And just so everyone remembers, we are on a summer schedule.
Yeah, we're just with you every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks through July and August. You can hang out with us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. You could email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com. And you could rate and review us on iTunes
5 stars.
and Stitcher.
We record at the Vancouver Public Library. Our producer is Andrea Gin, and hope you're having a great summer.
Thank you.